Um, I don't have anything to gain by saying anything. And if the Russians were abusing civilians, I'd say so. Yeah, because why wouldn't I? I mean, frankly, it would be easier for me because I'm in Ukraine. And if I started saying that, oh, yeah, the Russians are abusing civilians and they're fucking evil and we should kill them all, and resist, 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 well, I'd be really popular in Ukraine now, wouldn't I? People would think I'm just the greatest thing. Oh, look at this little South American guy. He's on our side and he's, spitting on those Russians. Poo, poo, poo. But that's not the truth. See, I got to call him like I see him. And I realized early on when Zelensky started handing out weapons to civilians that he was irresponsible. He was a fucking idiot. I thought he was a fucking idiot before with the whole handling of Russia and basically goading Russia into this invasion. Then I thought he was a bigger fucking asshole and just totally irresponsible for handing out weapons. And then as I started getting educated, as they say, I started realizing that the Zelensky regime is full of thugs and murderers and kidnappers and thieves and just the lowest scum of the earth. As simple as that. And the SBU is full of those fucking scum. And that's the truth. And I'll tell you quite honestly that I'm scared shitless most of the time because I figure that, I'm going to get the knock at the door. The siege of Mariupol, the Russians have fallen on that city really hard because they want to destroy the Azov battalion because they said that they want to denazify. And they have made no bones about the fact that they want to really hurt the Nazis, the far right extremists. They're really serious about it. And the Azov battalion knows it. And so they're fighting to the death at Mariupol. And they've been using civilians, ethnic Russian civilians, as human shields. And my friend confirmed this to me. And there have been so many accounts of other people and, like, random ladies with kids and telling the story. And you're like, no, this is not a crisis actor. This is like a real person, man. And what was most interesting to me, at any rate, was that, see, these Greeks living in Mariupol, many of them got, after parts of the sector, parts of the city fell to the Russians, and the Russians evacuated people, back to Russia or back wherever they wanted to. Many of these people of Greek descent decided to go to Greece, and the Russians just sent them to Greece, no problem. And in Greece, these people, far from the Russians, in the custody of Greeks in Greece, started telling stories about, yeah, the Azov battalion used them as human shields. The Azov battalion would shoot up the humanitarian corridors. And these stories were not propaganda, they were real. Mhm. And you see where the Russians are housing these women, these children, their dogs. There's like some video of like it's basically like these big like basketball, volleyball type indoor kind of facilities where they have a bunch of cots and they have all the people there. I mean, like a typical like FEMA installation after a hurricane or some shit like that, right? And the Russian soldiers are, not doing anything to them. I mean, they're feeding them and keeping them warm, right? And of course, yes, there are Russian TV journalists interviewing these people. Of course, because the Russians want to put out their message, you know. I mean, it's understandable, right? They're supposed to be quiet? No, that doesn't bother me. And that they use footage of these people to make posts, trying to butt rest their position, it's understandable. Yeah, and because that's what propaganda is. It's trying to get people to view your side more favorably. I'm in the middle of this situation in the sense of that I have I have no need to curry favor with the Russians. In fact, I have every incentive to curry favor with the Ukrainian side because I'm still here and I know that goons are kind of like looking for me. And so it would be easier for me to just lie and say that, yes, the Russians are the evil people who have kidnapped all these poor people from Mariupol and whatnot. But that's not true. And the truth of the matter is, and as unpleasant and distasteful as it is to say, is that members of the Ukrainian armed forces have acted despicably, using people, civilians, as human shields. And they have deliberately been putting weapons amid civilian infrastructure. And I can prove this to you extremely easily. Go to ABC News. For those of you who are not American, ABC News stands for the American Broadcasting Company. It's their news division. And they did a piece on Ukrainian armed forces preparing Odessa for the inevitable Russian invasion. And do you know where they were doing this piece? In a school. The Ukrainian armed forces was using a school to assemble its weaponry and its men and the necessary material to do battle with the Russians. Now, of course, any structure where you have a lot of weapons and a lot of men, that's going to become a military target. And so the Russians are going to try to attack that school. They're going to try to destroy that school. Of course they would. Because, I mean, that's the whole point of a war, right? It's one army against the other army. And, you try to beat the other guy. Beat the other guy, either kill him, get him to surrender, or get him to run away. Those are the only three ways that you can defeat an opponent. And so if an opponent puts all his eggs in the basket of a school, puts all his weapons and bunks out his men in a school, and then the Russians attack it, well, what's the point of that? It's to get the PR victory. See? The Russians bombed the school. They're so evil. And if the school is completely destroyed, well, that doesn't matter, And if they put weapons, mortars and whatnot, among civilian housing, and of course the Russians trying to take out that mortar or that howitzer or whatever it is, they start shelling in that direction and they blow up some house because it's inevitable, because they're not going to hit it like the one shot, right? And they wind up killing some innocent civilians, not because the Russians mean to, but the Russians are just trying to take out that howitzer or whatever it is that is hidden among the civilians.